This is the Domain Magnet Show, where you'll learn everything you need to know about buying, optimizing, and selling online businesses with your host, Michael Beroslavsky.
Welcome, listeners, to this new episode of the Domain Magnet Show. And today we have with us Mushfiq from Website Flip. Hi, Mushfiq.
Hi, Michael. Very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good we finally got to connect. So I know we've been chatting over email for probably many years and discussing many different deals. I'm not sure if you made a deal before or not, but I know we've discussed many.
Yeah, I've discussed many, have not closed on any together.
So let's start by telling a little bit more about yourself to our listeners. What do you do? How many deals have you done? Things like that.
Sure, yeah. I started in 2008. I built my first site there. It was in the voice over internet protocol, so VoIP niche. I was promoting like Skype back in the day when they were not well known. I had a site that was a pretty good authority there. I built that for 2 years, and then in 2010, I was approached by randomly. I didn't even know websites could be sold. I was way too young and no idea. It was just a passive income thing I was doing while I was in college. And then they wanted to buy it. I put the number out there, and then we went to escrow and we closed. So right from then, 2010, early 2010, I realized that, website flipping is a thing. So I got very active. Buying sites from Flippa and other digital point forums and all of those places back then. And then, since then I've done 175 website flips. Many of them are small and some of them are, in the six figures. And so now I, focus on 4 to 5 sites a year that I flip for 6 figures and higher, and the smaller deals I kind of broker out or find smaller operators to manage, but don't get really involved. And then I, on the side, started a newsletter on just focus on website flipping, a website investing industry, which I saw there was an opening there. So that's takes up a significant amount of time, and then my portfolio takes up the remaining.
And how many sites have you sold for your newsletter, or have you brokered?
Yeah, so I officially launched my newsletter April 2020. However, before then, across, since 2010, 11, when I was active on Flippa, I built up a small email list of, interested buyers, sellers, and I would send them deals that I find on Flippa. Maybe I buy it for a lower multiple, and then I hold it for a few months to improve it and grow, or I would just buy it and flip immediately within 24 hours. So I've done many of my deals privately through that email list, let's say, not a newsletter. And, since April, we do maybe about 4 or 5 small deals a month. These are less than 50,000. That's my sweet spot. The liquidity is quicker. I can find a buyer within 24 hours. And the sites are much easier to do a transfer on. It doesn't take much long to close. And, the broker fees are good. So that's the sweet spot for me.
That's very nice. And I understand it's mostly content sites, content affiliate sites. And what's the average multiple for the ones you broker?
Yeah, I like to, what I used to do in the back in the day, 25 to 30x multiple monthly. Now it's around 32x. I like to keep it a little bit lower than the private public marketplaces like Motion Invest, Investors Club, Empire Flippers, just to give people an upside to come to me than others. So that's 32x is the average.
And what commission do you charge?
It depends. I like to have at least a $500 minimum fee, at least, and then or like about 8%, whichever is higher. And if it's a repeat, seller or somebody like that, I kind of give them a deal. So I don't need that much of an overhead because it's just me and a few VAs, so we can be creative there.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. So it seems that you started maybe just a few years after I started. I started with the website flipping around 2005. And Digital Point was a big thing back then. SitePoint as well before Flippa. And it was an interesting landscape because no one knew that you could buy sites, and it was so strange.
Yeah.
and there were no people building sites to flip them yet. So that came much later. Yeah, and it was all sort of very strange. I remember one time I did a deal and I bought a site for like $4,000 through PayPal. And we were just chatting and exchanged a few messages. And I thought like, yeah, he seems like a reasonable guy. So I just sent him $4,000 in PayPal. And then I thought, what did I just do? I thought that was a stupid thing to do. But then everything turned out fine. He transferred the website. But yeah, it was a strange times. And you could buy sites for like 10 times monthly revenue multiple. It was amazing.
It was.
Sometimes
and
lower.
Sometimes 7 to 10 back in the day. Slowly creeped up to 15. I remember that clearly. And then, last few years was 25 to 30, and now it's 32 plus or something.
Yeah, and
it's just going up.
Yeah, and SEO was so much easier. I remember one site I acquired, I paid like $600, and it was making I think $50 per month because the seller just did not understand how AdSense worked. Like they just did not understand that in order to make more money, you just have to put the ads in a more prominent space that people would click on. So I bought it. I just rearranged the ads, and then I started making $1,000 per month. And then I sold it quickly for $20,000. And that was like so much easier than now. And now, of course, the landscape has changed completely. So that's just impossible. Everyone knows how things work. Everyone knows how to optimize ads. Everyone knows what the website is worth. So it's a completely different time now.
I don't know. I think you probably did that. You manually place the ads, right? Nowadays, it's just all automated. you don't have to do anything. I remember A/B testing display Google AdSense ads on what the color of the text should be, what the font size, and all of that, and placement. It was interesting.
Yeah, the colors. You remember the white and blue. That was the most effective. And AdSense default was just terrible colors like gray and green. And it was the easiest thing getting that and change the default color. Yeah, but now it's so different. Like we've seen many people using Mediavine, and they don't even know like how things work very much. But even they are using Mediavine, so all the places and all the forums where people talk about like buying a website that uses AdSense and transferring it to Mediavine or something like that, even that is very rare now to find.
Right.
Yeah, but those were some fun times for sure. And the main challenge back then was that there were not that many deals to find, not that many sites for sale with some decent revenues. Yeah.
It was just all random private contacts, forum messages, proper brokerage. And then Flippa came around, so that changed things.
And what did your first deals look like? Did you also pay with PayPal? Did you encounter some scammers at some point?
PayPal, mostly PayPal for many years. Escrow, I use escrow a lot. Scammers, I would say yes, but being in the US, I could just do a claim and kind of in PayPal and just, get my money back. But I didn't ever come across a legit scam. I would not transfer the money before I got anything. That's for sure. I didn't pay up front on a PayPal deal. I wanted at least something in return, like maybe the website or the Google Analytics or the domain itself transferred first, and then I'd give the money, and then they'd give the rest, something like that. So it was an exchange. But yeah, no, I have not been scammed yet.
Yeah, I had a few of those. I was doing a bunch of risky deals, and there was a guy one time that wanted me to pay with Western Union, and that was obviously a red sign. But he had a very popular Facebook page, so I thought that's probably worth the risk. And we had a chat, and we had a call, and everything seemed reasonable. But I did send it, and yes, it turned out. I mean, he wasn't. It was a strange thing. He did not seem like a scammer, but he said like, "Oh, somebody else paid more," and it was actually true. Somebody else paid more, but then he just decided not to refund me anything and stopped responding to messages. So. But that was just $2,000. But those things happened a few times. I think it's like it happens with everyone, and then took me some time to learn and then like understand how to do due diligence better. That's some valuable experience too.
Right, for sure.
And do you remember the first website ever that you bought and that you flipped?
No, I don't remember that. No, that's a good question. No, I know the one I built up and then sold, but I can't remember which one I first bought and sold. So, no.
And what was the biggest site? What was the biggest site you flip or biggest profit?
I was in 2000 and so my first big site was in 2016 through Empire Flippers, which was I think 120,000. And then I did one in 2018 for 200. And right now, I think the other one I did was 170. So those are the recent ones. So I've been kind of, stair stepping up.
Yeah.
And so now, I hold longer to grow them out. And so now I'm looking to sell one in the 300K range, and then hopefully another one in the 500K within the next year or two.
And the sites, how much did you acquire them for? The one that you sold for 200?
Yeah, the one for 200 I acquired for 23,000 on Flippa, and within 10 months it was sold for 200. So
that's pretty good.
Quick flip. Yeah.
And so, what allowed you to get such good profits? What was your main advantage in that?
Yeah, my thesis is I buy distressed websites that are built and by hobby bloggers, let's say, people who kind of understand the topic, really love the topic, write excellent content, and they get the traffic up because of the content, but they just don't know how to monetize that traffic. So that specific website was getting, it was in the dating niche. So it was getting about 50,000 visitors, written by somebody who really knows the topic, but it was monetized and very poorly, making like $800 a month or something like that. And within a month or two of CRO techniques, SEO changes, it went up to 5K, and then it just kept growing from there. So I look for those kind of sites that have high traffic, good content, but just don't understand the monetization is not in place. And I do a few of those acquisitions a year. They're very rare to find. When I do, I pay crazy multiples. I paid 75x for my last site, which I bought for 32,000, and now it's earning 10,000 a month. So I am willing to pay, because my sweet spot is less than 50K. I don't care about the multiple. I'm just looking at upside, like the easy wins, the CRO opportunities, right? So willing to pay a crazy multiple, get the deal, and then improve it over a few months and get my money back.
So that means you increased it more than 10 times. How did you manage to increase the revenue that much? What was he doing improperly?
Yeah, mostly, whenever I look at a site, I'm looking through Google Analytics and looking at the top 10 pages, top 20 pages, and looking at what can I change on those, because that's going to get me that revenue increase immediately. And most of these hobbyist bloggers, they write good content, but they don't know where to put the call to action buttons or the affiliate links or the comparison tables, or how to structure the content so it's gets the user to click. So those easy CRO changes can 10x the site within a month or two. So that's what I look for, the easy wins right there.
It's still hard to imagine how can you 10x with CRO changes. Like tables, it might add like 10-20%. But do you find better affiliate programs, negotiate better rates as well?
Yeah, so on that specific one that I paid, I believe 30K, what I said, it was earning $300-400 a month. Wow. I was getting 100,000 visitors though, earning $300-400 a month. So that one was easy, right? I just took the top 10-20 pages that are getting 80% of the traffic, added the affiliate links that were missing. The person just did not even understand that you should add affiliate links to these pages, which are buying guide type articles. So it's a matter of adding those in there in the right spots, which doubled it 10x the income. I also added display ads later on in the cycle, maybe month 4 or 5, that bumped it up even higher to 5K. And then it's switching out Amazon for direct partnerships with affiliates through Share a Sell, Commission Junction. Since it's an outdoor niche, so it's an Avant Link, Impact Radius, those higher tier networks to really boost it up to the 10K, which it is at now.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So have you bought all these sites with your own capital, or have you also worked with some investors before?
So I prefer doing my own deals. Recently, I have the dating site that I sold for 200K. I actually sold 75% equity. I retained 25 to an investor, and I managed that deal for him. So that was my first one where I sold off a big chunk and just to get cash back, and then still continue with the deal. I like to, what I like to do is buy these underappreciated assets, build them up, and then sell. Either I find a buyer that wants to take all of it, or I'm willing to give, keep 10, 20, 25%, some skin in the game, and then take a management fee to continue managing that site.
That's fair enough. I think your video quality is lower than it was in the beginning. Is there some setting you can tweak?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, now it's good. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And what are your thoughts about the current landscape of the market? There is quite a few newsletters that do something similar, quite a few smaller brokerages. Do you think your list will be able to stay competitive?
Brokering through my list is a very small revenue stream. It's not my primary business. I do it because people reach out to me and say, I have this site for sale. I have buyers, so I just do the connection. That's not the goal. I do maybe 3 or 5 deals. I'm not trying to compete with the Motion Invest or the Investors Club. It's just a bespoke brokerage. So mostly I'm doing, my newsletter for information. I see a gap in the market. There's a lot of info on getting started. Okay. There's a lot of info by the brokerages of how to, they help you sell a site and they put content out. There's this gap in between of people who've already kind of created a site and know how to get it, build one up. Now they have money and they want to invest and they don't know how to do the due diligence. They don't know what to look for, what are the red flags, where to find the deals, what kind of deals, and then how to grow those sites. So I kind of bridge that gap and connect those and provide the education there in terms of content. No courses, just free newsletter, free long form essays sent to everyone's inbox of the information they need.
Yeah, I've looked at some of your articles. I think there is some pretty good content, and I know it's already getting some good traffic as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
Nice, very nice. So I understand that your main source of income, your main business is from your portfolio and your flips.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
When did you become full time basically in this? When did you decide to really switch to this?
I'm not full time. I have a day job.
You do?
I have a day job. I don't do this full time. I delegate most of the tasks to my teams, VAs, operators, and whatnot. But yeah, I spend of a 40-hour week. I spend maybe actually 40 hours on my day job, and then another 40 hours on my portfolio. So it's long weeks. Yeah.
What's your day job?
I'm an engineer by trade, so I work with a lot of VC-funded startups in the renewable energy space, helping them grow from technology point of view.
And have you considered quitting, going full-time, or do you love your job more?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say I love my job more. I just use my job as it's what's the impactful part, right? So what I'm doing is important, renewable energy and global warming. So that's where I want to leave an impact. I don't want to be, 60, 50 years old thinking, what did I do? I just built a few Amazon niche sites, right? So there has to be something. And, the portfolio of sites, I really enjoy that. It's very data driven and it provides cash flow for lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's really nice that you see your job more as a way to contribute as well to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And what are your thoughts about the industry in general, how it's evolving now? And we have huge influx of buyers
Yeah.
and lots of lower quality sites for sale.
Yeah, I've seen, you and I have been here for a long time, me 12 years, you 15 years, right? I've seen, PBNs come and go. I mean, they're still here, but PBN sites kind of being built up and then just flipped. Now people are getting smarter. Multiples have gone up. Empire Flippers has grown crazily, and then there's smaller brokerages that come. Now they have funds. You have your fund. I mean, things are going crazy. So, it's a booming industry. I love it. Multiples are going up. That's great for everybody. It sometimes sucks for me as a buyer because we have to buy it 40x to beat somebody else, right? But I think more and more individual investors and institutions are entering, and they need different types of services. I get contacted through my newsletter from private equity companies that want due diligence help. That what didn't happen in the past, and they pay much higher than a typical niche site builder wanting due diligence help. So all these sub services, and that happens in every industry, right? When you sell the shovels, right? The shovel is due diligence and all these different services that you can offer. So I see this continuing for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't see this slowing down. This digital real estate. So.
What do you think are the best ways to find good deals nowadays, which is, of course, getting harder and harder?
Yeah, honestly, Flippa has actually been my best source of deal flow, and that's surprising for a lot of people. But Flippa attracts the beginner hobbyist type bloggers to list their sites, right? And I've found two of my best deals in the past 2 years through Flippa that have both been 200, 300K exits. So, I'm always on Flippa looking for deals. That's probably one of the ways, if you know how to filter and you know what to look for, you can find really good ones. And then the seller is willing to negotiate because they want to sell. And that there's no market a broker in between that's saying, hey, don't sell it for lower than this amount. It's pretty much the Wild West. I can push, right? And then of course, private, just reaching out. I know you guys do that very well. I have not had success, but I think if you can master those two, I think that's the best way. I have not bought a deal from Empire Flippers, which I used to be an active buyer, but over the past 5 or 6 years, I have not bought a deal from those marketplaces.
Yeah, I actually agree. We haven't bought anything on Empire Flippers yet, but we were close to. It was one deal we were close to buying, and then someone else bought it. And we do get some good deals on Flippa as well. I think it's been really great that we've enjoyed a good relationship with Flippa. And I've actually had Blake, the CEO, on our podcast a couple of times as well. And there are still some good deals there potentially. You just have to really search for them a lot and do your own due diligence. I think what happens is most people just not notice them because people don't put good information in their listing. And then also they just don't respond. So sometimes you have to trace them down and really try to connect with people if they don't respond for Flippa.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find some good deals. We are doing some outreach. Sometimes it works, but it does take quite a bit of effort. I think there is probably good deals out there. You just have to be very creative now at how you find them. Yeah. And also the other part is probably developing some really good advantages. Like then you have specific connections, like really great affiliate programs in a specific niche. Then you can just go in and hunt down in that niche.
Yes.
Have you done something similar as well?
Yeah, I have not hunted down, but what I have done is negotiated very unique and higher than average affiliate commissions in specific. I'm in the dating vertical on one of my sites, and I have 20% higher commissions on the CPA model, so a fixed amount. So yeah, I could go and buy my competitor dating site that's right in the second page and immediately 2x the income. I have not done that. Maybe that's a good strategy, so I have to think about that.
Yeah, that's what we do as well. And the thing is, with every affiliate program you can generally negotiate, unless it's Amazon, of course. You're gonna be if you $1 billion short to negotiate with them.
Right.
But any affiliate program you can negotiate higher rates, and with many programs we've been able to negotiate like double, triple even commissions.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
And other than that, though, there are many new marketplaces now. There are also many smaller brokers and brokerages. Have you worked with those? Have you find any deals there?
No, I have not. And
like
maybe
Motion Invest.
Oh yeah, Motion Invest. No, I have not bought a deal on there yet. I monitor it, but not yet. Maybe one day.
Okay, that makes sense. And what do you think, like a few years from now, like 5-10 years, you mentioned that it's probably going to keep going. And in terms of the big players, do you think Empire Flippers will just dominate the market, or will it be more integrated?
In terms of broker marketplace?
Basically, all the deals will probably be more or less at one place, or will it still be the same as now, fragmented?
I don't know. I see Empire Flippers as obviously they spearheaded the market. They know what they're doing. I like you and we haven't bought a deal recently from Empire Flippers. So who is, right? It's those, I don't want to say it like that, but I think it's those private equity companies or very, high wealth individuals that see those assets as cash flowing. But, why I don't buy them, because I see the subclass of sites that are on Empire Flippers are built by you and people who actually understand the game. We're building the site up to its full potential. Like we squeeze out most of it and then we sell it, right? Not necessarily every site, but it's somewhat like that. So we sell it on those because they give 40x multiple, right? So as a buyer, when I look at Empire Flippers deal, which I do every week, I just don't see crazy opportunities for 5x growth or 10x growth within a year, right? So I don't buy it. So I think Empire Flippers is just going to keep growing because they're getting a different subclass of buyers that are not me, maybe bigger, higher wealth individuals. So, and the smaller gap is going to be filled with Flippa that's just growing, right? They have the biggest buyer and seller pool, and more people are putting their sites on there. And I see through my newsletter and my following, people don't know how to look through Flippa. They just get scared. Like it's just so scammy. It's like the eBay of websites, right? So, and that's good, but that's also opportunity for people who know what to look for, right? So I'm betting on Empire Flippers taking the top tier of the market. They're doing that already, and they'll continue with EF Capital and all of that, right? And I'm assuming that Flippa is going to continue on that growth trend, and I'm going to be there to buy all the good little smaller deals that are good, right? The needles in the haystack.
I agree with that. I personally think also that in this range is getting harder, but maybe if we go higher range, and that's what we are doing at Domain Magnet as well, just going for bigger deals, then there is more opportunities. Like once you approach $1 million or more deal size, there is more opportunities because this is a range that you don't have as many buyers. Most individual buyers cannot afford it. And most funds as well. And also because you don't really have many of these made for sale sites in that range. Like they usually don't survive that long to become that valuable. So I think that's a much safer space.
Yeah, one unique situation, a strategic buyer of an e-commerce brand is buying their affiliate. So an affiliate site, and that's valued at 1.8 million, right? So, when you're at that level, that site has been around for 10 years, earning consistent revenues and growing. But you're absolutely right. I can't afford a 1 million site, but your fund definitely can. And there's plenty of good sites out there at that range, for sure.
Yeah, that's our main strategy as well. That's why we are raising our third fund now, is so we can expand more into that. And the challenge that we've seen now is we get a lot of potential investors from Domain Magnet. We have dozens of people coming to us and saying, "Hey, I want to buy a website for like 100,000 or anywhere between like 50,000 to maybe 200, 300. And the problem is it's really hard to find deals in those ranges.
Yeah.
And most buyers don't really understand that. They think that it's kind of like, people think it's kind of like real estate, you know. If you get a bad deal in real estate, maybe you'll just make a slightly lower interest, slightly lower returns.
Right.
But you get a good deal, you get more returns. But it's really not like that. It's completely different here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you guys thought of doing maybe? And I know your fund is many investors, and you buy 5 to 10 websites. But have you thought about taking 2 or 3 people and then having them put 100,000 each, and then buying a bigger site so it diversifies the risk?
Yeah, so that's actually what we did with our first 2 funds. The first fund was 5 people. The second fund is also a similar amount of people, so it's a smaller funds. And those are like family funds where people know each other, so it's much easier to arrange. And we were buying smaller businesses with them. Now this is the third fund there. We want to raise up to 10 million and then go for bigger businesses. But it's like even in $200,000 range, 300,000, it's still like I think it's still like a little bit difficult to find really high quality businesses. And still much higher competition.
Yes.
So yeah.
So you're in the 10 million, maybe 5 to 10 businesses north of 1 million each, right?
Yeah, that's the idea, and that will give us a lot more opportunity also to like go for different strategies. So what we've seen is once you get to that range, let's say you buy a business for 1 million, 2 million, and then you grow it, let's say to 3-5 million. That's close to the range where like a real big private equity firm look at, or where public companies look at. So you get exposed to much higher valuations as well. So we have the opportunity to buy at like 3 or 4x multiple and then sell it like 15x multiple potentially to a public company. So those are things that we don't really have in the 6-figure range yet.
Right. Of course.
That's a huge thing. But also it's just a completely different type of businesses. Usually it's sites that have been around for a decade that are very, very stable. The risk is so much lower. So that isn't the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about like Google in general? We've seen the trend now that over the past 15 years since I've been involved in SEO, the trend has been more or less the same. SEOs do something. Back in 2005, 2006, it was ads and scraper sites. And we were doing them as well, just like thousands of domains, building a bunch of auto-generated content, putting ads, and it worked great. And then the Google algorithm update came and killed all those. And then the next thing, the next thing was, I think, Web 2.0 and different crappy links like that, and like blog links, blog comments that became irrelevant. And now it's PBNs, and PBNs slowly dying out. So what do you think? What's next? Will just the biggest sites remain a survivor?
Well, that's happening, right? The biggest sites are remaining. When you see the Google search for many of these keywords that all of us affiliate marketers target, product related, it's Google in like 50% of the top page, right? Various brands. Then it's a few sites, and then you got to go to the second page to get to the rest. So I don't see. Google will always be there. I treat Google now. My mindset has switched. Google is just giving me the real visitors. I need to capture that into emails, right? That's why I've really pushed a lot to email marketing. One of my sites has 19,000 emails, and it makes significant money, which is part of that 10K that I was saying. So I'm mostly going a lot into controlling that audience, Facebook groups, email, and whatnot. I don't trust that Google will always favor my site, even though my site is 10 years old. It's a DR57. It's a very powerful site in and of itself, but I just don't trust it. So I don't know what Google will do next. Look, I see they're doing all this AI stuff. I'm an engineer. I understand that stuff, but it's impossible to really know what's going to come next. So.
And so you're doing a lot of stuff with email and social. Do you do paid Facebook and paid social traffic together pages?
I do on specific times. So, for example, for my outdoor site, I have a Facebook page group with 180,000 followers that I bought with the site. And so I run ads to that during specific events like Amazon Prime Day or Black Friday or in those kind of times. That's when I see a boost of sales. Otherwise, not in general.
And for the newsletter, have you received it with the site, or did you grow it organically?
I received a small email list and I grew it over time.
So what are some tricks that people can do to really grow a newsletter quickly and monetize it well?
Yeah, so in this specific vertical outdoor, what I was doing is, of course, a lead magnet. You have to give something away. I give away checklists that were created. And then I use pop-up plugins, Opt-in Monster, which has the really good conversions to capture that email. I have a 32 email sequence that goes out to and that's been tested over time to generate revenue. So my concept is that I've kind of read online is 3 informational emails, 1 commercial, and that process is built into Aweber's campaign that I've built. And so that, now generates automatic revenue. My job is to bring in the organic and social traffic so that I can get them on the email list. And then it's all on.
And do you make most of the sales, most of the revenues actually from the list, or not from the site?
About 40% from the list, 60% from the site.
That's pretty good. And have you been able to do that with sites that don't really have an established list that you just buy and it's all content?
Well, it depends on the niche. I wouldn't say, when I bought the site, it had like 1,000. Now it's 19,000. So it's not about the what the size of the list. It's just the specific niche. Not all niches are going to be email friendly.
So outdoors, and how do you figure out which niche is good for a list or not?
Competitors. I look at my competitors, and now in that niche, everybody has an email list and doing very well. So I'm just mimicking that, right? But like I've seen home niches or some things like that, like kitchen equipment. That's not going to do well for sure.
Makes sense. So then, yeah. So as I understand that, if it's something that people would be coming back for more information, then you'd probably want a list. And if it's just a one-time purchase, that probably doesn't make sense. Like if you're selling some kind of generators that they just come and buy and that's it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that's reasonable. So for sites like dating or like site about cats, something more mainstream, that probably makes sense to have a newsletter.
I think I have a dating site. I don't see my competitors doing an email list, and I don't envision. The reason is you pick a dating site and you kind of register for it and you're stuck there for a while. You kind of test it, use it, right? And there's no need to come back for that user, or at least immediate. They have some time to figure things out. And also, dating affiliates pay a significant amount upfront. One of my affiliates pay $140 for a sale. So I already made a bunch of that money for that one visitor. So email marketing, it might not work that well in that niche. Now, dating as in dating sites, right? But relationship advice and those kind of things, that has a more repetitive nature, but my site is not about that.
Yeah, sounds good. So how many sites do you manage right now?
I have 5 that I manage with a team of people. That's the sweet spot where I can still do my day job.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. A lot of the big mistake that many people make is they just get too many different sites, too many small sites, and then they never look at them. We've done that as well before. Yeah.
Yeah, 18 sites, and they all started to die, and I decided to liquidate all of them and start fresh. So that liquidation happened in 2016, 17. And start fresh again from there, focusing on a few big sites.
Yeah, you gotta focus. That's important. Nice. So what's next for you? What's the plan for this year and next year? What are you going to be focused on? terms of the online
Yeah,
business?
I'm very much enjoying doing the newsletter, so that my website Flip newsletter. So that will be a focus on my time. My I will be trying to exit my dating site within this year, hopefully, and then the outdoor site I want to diversify into e-commerce, more email marketing, just some out of the box things that the niche site owners don't usually apply. So that's some strategy. And then, hopefully maybe acquiring one or two more sites this year. Not sure if they pop up, they pop up. Otherwise, I'll wait till next.
And next on, you think you'll continue more or less the same, or do you plan some scaling, some growth, or the contrary, doing something big?
In terms of, sorry, my portfolio? Or?
In terms of your portfolio, in terms of your newsletter, your website?
Right now, just continue as is. I don't plan to do anything crazy big. I'm not going to raise money.
Good strategy. And so what would be your advice to investors, to buyers, to people who are new to the space and they want to learn, they want to buy something, they have, let's say, $100,000 or a couple $100,000 to spend? What would you recommend them?
So, for investors, that people who have money, it's not, due diligence is key. Due diligence is key in every industry, but it's more key in this industry. If you don't understand what you're buying, don't buy it. You have to understand how a website makes money. You have to understand the red flags. If you're an investor that has money, take some of these courses. You don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but you just take the high level, understand what these niche site creators are thinking, these operators are thinking, so you can speak the same language. I think, but really just do diligence.
All right, well, thank you, Mushfiq. That's a pleasure to chat. Any final advice or thoughts to buyers, sellers, investors? Anything I haven't asked you that you wanted to mention?
No, I think we're good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And how can people reach out to you?
The website flip.com. There's a contact form. You can reach out. I'm active on Twitter as well at the website Flip.
Okay. Thank you, Mushfiq. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Domain Magnet is a leader in buying and selling online businesses with a proven track record of expertise gained from over 300 deals since 2004. To learn more about how we can help you acquire or exit a profitable online business today, head over to domainmagnet.com for more details.